The knife pressed against Amara's throat, cold metal biting into her skin as rain hammered down around them. 3 men had her cornered in the alley behind Chen's diner, their intentions clear in their hungry eyes. Her heart thundered against her ribs as the leader, a man with a scar splitting his eyebrow, leaned closer, his breath reeking of alcohol. "That's a pretty necklace," he growled, fingers reaching for the silver chain her mother had given her. "Hand it over, and maybe we'll let you walk away." Amara's fingers trembled as she clutched her purse. "Please, I don't have any money. I just finished my shift." The slap came fast, snapping her head to the side. Stars exploded across her vision. She tasted blood. "I said the necklace, bitch." Her fingers moved to the clasp, tears mixing with rain on her cheeks. But before she could remove it, the man holding the knife suddenly flew backward, his body crashing into a dumpster with a sickening crunch. He didn't get up. Amara blinked. 1 second the alley had been empty behind her attackers. The next, a man stood there, tall, lean, with sharp features and eyes that seemed to glow in the dim light. He moved like liquid shadow, too fast for her mind to process. Another attacker lunged at him with a crowbar. The stranger caught his wrist mid-swing, twisted, and the man's scream pierced the night as his arm bent at an impossible angle. "Run," the stranger said to her, his voice smooth as silk. But Amara's legs wouldn't obey. She was frozen, watching as he disarmed the 3rd man with movements that belonged in a martial arts film, not a back alley in Atlanta. The leader with the scar scrambled to his feet, pulling a gun from his waistband. The stranger's expression didn't change. He simply raised one hand, palm out, and Amara's breath caught as frost spread across the gun's surface. The metal cracked. The man's scream turned into something primal as ice crept up his arm, freezing the skin blue-white. His eyes glazed over, the color draining from them until they looked like frosted glass. "Jesus Christ," Amara whispered. Another figure emerged from the shadows at the alley's entrance. This one was broader in the shoulders, his face harder, like it had been carved from stone. Where the first man moved with grace, this one exuded raw power. His eyes, the same impossible silver as the others, fixed on Amara with an intensity that made her knees weak. "You weren't supposed to see that," he said, and despite the chaos around them, his voice was eerily calm. The first man, the one who'd saved her, turned to face her fully. His features softened slightly. "Are you hurt?" Amara's hand went to her bleeding lip. What are you?" "That's a complicated question," the softer one said, taking a step toward her. She took a step back. "Don't." The harder one's voice cut through the air like a blade. "You're scaring her, Jin-Ho." Jin-Ho. The name sounded foreign, beautiful. The man stopped advancing, holding up his hands in a placating gesture. "We're not going to hurt you. I promise." The man with the gun, Amara managed, her voice shaking. "His eyes. He'll thaw in a few hours," the stone-faced man said. "He won't remember much. Neither will the others." He looked at Ginho. "We need to leave. No. We can't just leave her here," Ginho protested. "What if there are more of them? Then she runs. She screams. She calls the police. Like a normal person would." Amara found her voice, though it came out smaller than she wanted. "Who are you people?" The 2 men exchanged a look that held entire conversations. Finally, Ginho spoke. "I'm Jin-Ho. This is my brother, Jin-Woo. And you?" He tilted his head, studying her in a way that made her feel exposed. "You're Amara Davis. 26. You work doubles at Chen's to pay for your mother's medical bills. You're 3 months behind on rent. Your car broke down last week, so you take the bus. You drink your coffee black with 2 sugars, and you haven't had a day off in 6 months. Ice water flooded Amara's veins. How do you know all that?" Jin-Woo stepped forward, and this time Amara pressed her back against the brick wall. There was nowhere to run. "Because we've been watching you, Amara. For 3 weeks now. That's stalking. That's necessary," Jin-Woo finished. His eyes roamed over her face with an hunger that should have terrified her. It did terrify her. But something else twisted in her stomach too, something she didn't want to name. "You have no idea how special you are. I'm calling the police." Amara fumbled for her phone, but her hands were shaking too badly to unlock it. Jin-Ho moved faster than thought, plucking the phone from her grasp. But his touch was gentle, his fingers warm against hers for the brief moment they made contact. "Please, just listen. We know how this sounds, but you're in danger. Those men tonight? They weren't random muggers. They were sent. Sent by who? People who want to hurt us, Jin-Woo said flatly. And they'll use you to do it. Amara's laugh came out hysterical. Use me? I don't even know you. I've never seen either of you before. But even as she said it, her mind was racing backward. The man at table 7 who always sat in her section. The one who left $100 tips and smiled at her like she hung the moon. The one who'd been coming in every night for the past 3 weeks. Oh God, she breathed. You're the guy with the coffee. Ginho's smile was gentle, almost apologetic. Black with 2 sugars. Same as you. And you. Amara turned to Jin-Woo, recognition dawning. You sit in the corner. You never order anything but water. You just watch. Guilty. There was no apology in Jin-Woo's voice, no shame. Though I prefer to think of it as appreciating. This is insane. You're both insane. Amara tried to push past them, but Jin-Woo's arm shot out, blocking her path. He didn't touch her, but he didn't have to. The threat was clear. Amara. Jin-Ho's voice drew her attention back to him. I know you're scared. I know this is overwhelming. But those men tonight were just the beginning. There are others. Worse ones. And they know where you live, where you work, where your mother is being treated. The mention of her mother sent a fresh spike of fear through Amara's chest. If you hurt her, we would never. Jin-Ho looked genuinely offended. We're trying to protect you both. Why? The word came out as a shout, echoing off the alley walls. Why me? I'm nobody. I'm just a waitress trying to survive. The brothers exchanged another loaded glance. Jin-Woo spoke first, his voice lower, almost reverent. You're far from nobody, Amara. You're everything, Jin-Ho finished. You're everything we've been searching for a very long time. Amara's vision swam. The adrenaline was wearing off, leaving exhaustion and pain in its wake. Her cheek throbbed where she'd been hit. Her lip was still bleeding. And these 2 impossibly beautiful, impossibly dangerous men were telling her she was special, that she was in danger, that they'd been watching her. I want to go home, she whispered. Let us take you, Jin-Ho offered. Please. Just let us make sure you get there safely. And then what? You'll keep watching me from the shadows? Keep following me? Jin-Woo's lips corked into something that might have been a smile on anyone else. Would you prefer we follow you in the light? Despite everything, Amara felt a hysterical laugh bubble up in her throat. I should call the police. I should be running and screaming. But you won't, Jin-Woo said with absolute certainty. Because you feel it too. Don't you? Feel what? He took a step closer, and this time Amara didn't back away. Couldn't. His silver eyes held her pinned like a butterfly on a board. The pull. The recognition. Like you've been waiting for something your whole life without knowing what it was. And now. His hand came up, fingers hovering just beside her cheek without touching. Now it's standing right in front of you. Amara's breath hitched. Because he was right. God help her, he was right. From the moment Jin-Ho had started coming into the diner, she'd felt it. That strange flutter in her chest when he smiled. That magnetic pull when Jin-Woo watched her from his corner booth. She'd told herself it was just attraction, just loneliness making her read too much into a customer's kindness. But it was more than that. It felt like destiny, like fate, like something written in her bones. This is crazy, she said again, but with less conviction. Jin-Ho's expression softened with understanding. I know, but crazy doesn't mean untrue. He held out his hand. Come with us. Just for tonight. Let us explain everything. And if you still want to walk away after that, we won't stop you. You promise? I promise, Jin-Ho said. Jin-Woo said nothing, but his jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Amara had the distinct impression he was making no such promise. Against every instinct of self-preservation she possessed, Amara took Jin-Ho's hand. His fingers closed around hers, warm and solid and real. Jin-Woo led the way out of the alley to where a sleek black car waited, so expensive-looking it seemed out of place in this neighborhood. The interior was all leather and technology Amara couldn't begin to understand. She sat in the back seat between them, hyper-aware of Jin-Woo's thigh pressing against hers on one side, Jin-Ho's shoulder on the other. Neither man spoke as the driver, a silent figure behind tinted glass, navigated through Atlanta's streets. They weren't heading toward her apartment in the rundown complex on the south side. They were going north, toward Buckhead, where the wealthy lived in towers that scraped the sky. Where are we going? Amara asked, though part of her already knew. Home, Jin-Woo said simply. The car pulled into an underground garage beneath a building that probably cost more than Amara would make in 10 lifetimes. A private elevator took them up, up, so high her ears popped. When the doors opened, they revealed a penthouse that belonged in a magazine. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked the glittering city. Art that looked ancient and priceless hung on walls. Everything was decorated in shades of black, white, and gold. "Sit," Jin-Woo commanded, gesturing to a leather couch that probably cost more than her car had. "Please," Ginho added, softer. Amara sat, perching on the edge like she might need to run. Jin-Ho disappeared into what she assumed was the kitchen and returned with a first aid kit. He knelt before her, his movements careful and unthreatening as he dampened a cloth with antiseptic. "This might sting," he warned before pressing it to her split lip. Amara hissed at the burn but held still. Jin-Ho's touch was incredibly gentle, his fingers steady as he cleaned the blood from her face. Jin-Woo watched from across the room, his arms crossed, his expression unreadable. The silence stretched until Amara couldn't take it anymore. "So are you going to tell me what's really going on? Or should I guess? Secret agents? Mob bosses? Superheroes?" Jin-Ho's laugh was genuine. "Not quite. Though I suppose we've been called worse things. We're from Goguryeo," Jin-Woo said bluntly. "An ancient Korean kingdom. One that no longer exists in your world, but still thrives in another." Amara blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" "Another world," Jin-Ho clarified, setting aside the first aid kit. "Parallel to this one. Connected by thin places, doorways between realities. Our kingdom exists in one of those thin places, caught between your modern world and something older. This is the part where I'm supposed to believe you're from another dimension." "Technically, the same dimension," Jin-Woo corrected. "Just a different layer of reality. Think of it like..." He gestured vaguely. "Like radio frequencies. Your world operates on one frequency, ours on another. But sometimes the signals overlap." Amara looked between them, searching for any sign this was an elaborate joke. Their faces remained serious. "Okay, sure. You're interdimensional Korean princes or whatever. That explains the magic ice powers?" "Not magic," Jin-Woo said. "Though I understand why it would seem that way. In our world, certain bloodlines carry abilities. Mine is ice. Jin-Ho's is speed and agility. Our father could command fire. Our mother could see the threads of fate." "Could?" Jin-Ho's expression darkened. "They're gone. Dead for over 1,200 years. The number didn't register at first. Then it did. 1,200. That's impossible. You can't be. We're cursed," Jin-Woo interrupted. 12 centuries ago, a woman named Seo-Yun placed a binding on our bloodline. She was a sorceress, powerful and dangerous. My brother rejected her advances, and she made sure we'd pay for that rejection for eternity. "The curse won't let us die," Jin-Ho continued, his voice heavy with an old grief. "It won't let us return home. We're trapped here in your world, watching centuries pass while we remain unchanged. We've seen empires rise and fall. We've watched the world transform from torches to electricity, from horses to airplanes. And through it all, we've searched." "Searched for what?" "For you." Jin-Woo's silver eyes locked onto hers. "Or someone like you. The curse has a loophole, you see. A way to break it. We have to find a woman who carries two flames within her heart. One of passion, one of pain. A woman strong enough to choose between us." Amara's mouth went dry. "Choose?" "The woman must select one brother," Jin-Ho explained gently. "Her choice breaks the curse, but only for the one she picks. He becomes mortal again, can return home to Goguryeo. The other," his voice trailed off, "remains cursed," Jin-Woo finished. "Forever. Alone." The weight of what they were saying pressed down on Amara's chest. That's horrible." "What kind of curse?" "The kind designed for maximum cruelty," Jin-Woo said without emotion. "Seo-Yun wanted us to suffer. What better way than to offer hope but make it cost everything? And you think I'm this woman? This two flames person?" Jin-Ho leaned forward, his eyes searching hers. "We know you are. We've seen 47 women over the centuries who fit the prophecy's description. Each time we thought she was the one. Each time we were wrong. What happened to them?" The silence that fell was answer enough. Amara's stomach turned. "They died?" "Not by our hands," Jin-Ho said quickly. "Never by our hands. But the curse has enemies. Other factions from our world who benefit from keeping us trapped here, weak, separated from our kingdom's power. They hunt the women we find. They kill them before the choice can be made. And you brought me here anyway? Amara shot to her feet, anger cutting through her fear. You think I'm this prophesied woman. You know that 47 others died, and you still. We can protect you better this time, Jin-Woo interrupted, standing as well. We've learned from our mistakes. We're stronger now, more connected to this world's power structures. We won't let what happened to the others happen to you. You're insane. Both of you. Amara headed for the elevator, but Jin-Ho moved with that inhuman speed, suddenly blocking her path. She hadn't even seen him cross the room. Please, he said. Just stay tonight. Let us show you we're telling the truth. And in the morning, if you want to leave, I'll take you home myself. Your brother said. My brother will honor my promise, Ginho said firmly, glancing at Jin-Woo with an expression that brooked no argument. Jin-Woo's jaw clenched, but he gave a curt nod. Amara wanted to run. Every rational part of her brain screamed that she should. But another part, deeper and more primal, whispered that she was exactly where she needed to be. That these two impossible men with their impossible story were somehow, inexplicably, telling the truth. One night, she agreed. But I'm not promising anything beyond that. Jin-Ho's smile was like sunrise. That's all we ask. Jin-Woo showed her to a bedroom that was larger than her entire apartment, with a bed that looked like it belonged in a palace and a bathroom made of marble and gold fixtures. He paused in the doorway, his hand resting on the frame. You're afraid of us, he observed. Shouldn't I be? Probably. His eyes traveled over her face, lingering on her lips where Jin-Ho had cleaned the cut. But I think you're more afraid of yourself. Of what you feel when you look at us. Amara's breath caught. I don't feel anything. Liar. The word was soft, almost affectionate. You felt it since the first time I walked into that diner. The pull. The recognition. Your hands shake when you pour my water. Your pulse races when I watch you. And with Jin-Ho. His smile turned knowing. With Jin-Ho, you let yourself hope. That maybe someone could actually want you, not just what you can give them. Get out, Amara whispered, hating how her voice shook. Jin-Woo didn't move. You're beautiful when you're angry. Did you know that? Your eyes flash like lightning. Makes me want to see what other emotions I can draw out of you. He pushed off the doorframe. Sleep well, Amara. Tomorrow, everything changes. He left, closing the door behind him with a soft click. Amara stood frozen for a long moment before her legs gave out and she sank onto the bed. Her hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. Because Jin-Woo was right. She had felt it. From the very first time Jin-Ho had smiled at her over his coffee, from the first time Jin-Woo's silver eyes had tracked her movements across the diner. She'd felt chosen. Seen. Wanted. And now she knew why. She was prophesied. Cursed. Marked for either salvation or death. Amara lay back on the impossibly soft bed and stared at the ceiling, trying to process everything. Ancient kingdoms. Parallel worlds. Curses and prophecies and women who died because they'd been special. Her phone buzzed. She'd almost forgotten Jin-Ho had given it back. A text from an unknown number lit up the screen. Your mother's hospital bills have been paid in full. You're welcome. JW. Amara's heart hammered. She pulled up her banking app with trembling fingers. Sure enough, $63,000 had been deposited into her account. In the memo line, first of many gifts. A knock on the door made her jump. Jin-Ho entered without waiting for permission, carrying a tray with tea and what looked like homemade soup. He set it on the bedside table. You should eat something. It's been a long night. You paid my mother's bills. Jin-Woo did, actually. He has a habit of trying to buy affection. I prefer to earn it. Jin-Ho sat on the edge of the bed, careful to keep distance between them. But yes, we took care of the debt. Consider it a gesture of good faith. Or a chain, Amara said bitterly. Now I owe you. You owe us nothing, Jin-Ho said firmly. That money is yours regardless of what you decide. Even if you walk away tomorrow and never look back, it's still yours. Your mother deserves treatment. You deserve not to drown in debt while trying to save her. Tears burned behind Amara's eyes. She'd been carrying that weight for so long, working herself to exhaustion, watching the numbers climb higher and higher while her mother got sicker and sicker. And these strangers had just erased it all with a single transaction. Why? The word came out broken. Why do all this for someone you don't even know? Jin-Ho reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, his fingers brushed her cheek, wiping away a tear she hadn't realized had fallen. Because for 1200 years, I've been searching for someone who makes me feel alive. And you, Amara Davis, make me feel like I could breathe again after centuries of suffocating. His thumb traced her jaw, the touch feather light but electric. When I first saw you, you were arguing with a customer who'd grabbed your wrist. You were half his size, but you didn't back down. You told him if he touched you again, you'd introduce his face to the deep fryer. And I thought, there she is. There's the woman with fire in her soul. Amara's breath came faster. Jin-Ho leaned closer, his eyes dropping to her lips. May I kiss you? She should say no. Should push him away. Should run screaming from this penthouse and these impossible men and their impossible curse. Instead, she whispered, yes. His lips met hers softly, carefully, like she was something precious that might break. The kiss was gentle, reverent. Nothing like the desperate clash she'd expected. His hand cupped her face while the other rested on her waist, steady and warm. When he pulled back, his smile was radiant. I've waited 1200 years for that, he murmured. Worth every second. Before Amara could respond, the door slammed open. Jin-Woo stood in the doorway, his expression thunderous. Get away from her. Jin-Ho didn't move. She's not yours to command, brother. Neither is she yours to seduce while she's vulnerable and scared. I'm right here, Amara interjected, anger flaring. Stop talking about me like I'm not in the room. Jin-Woo's eyes snapped to her, and the intensity in them made her breath catch. You're right. Forgive me. He stepped into the room, and suddenly the space felt much smaller. But my brother has a habit of playing the hero. He'll woo you with poetry and kindness, make you feel safe and cherished. And you'll choose him because he's easy to love. And you're not? The question slipped out before Amara could stop it. Jin-Woo's laugh was harsh. I'm the nightmare, Amara. I'm 1200 years of darkness and blood and choices that would make you sick. I've built empires on corpses. I've done things that would send you running. My brother still has hope, still believes in goodness. I stopped believing centuries ago. He moved closer, and Jin-Ho tensed beside her but didn't interfere. Jin-Woo's hand came up, fingers tangling in her hair, his grip firm enough to send shivers down her spine. But here's the truth he won't tell you. That goodness, that hope, it's a luxury. In our world, in the world you've entered by being marked by this prophecy, goodness gets you killed. You need someone who'll do whatever it takes to keep you alive. Someone who won't hesitate to burn the world down, if it means protecting you. His thumb traced her lower lip, pressing slightly on the cut there. I am not a good man, Amara. But I would be very, very good to you. The air between them crackled with tension. Amara's heart hammered, so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. This is insane. You're brothers. You can't both. The prophecy doesn't care about conventional morality, Jin-Woo said. You'll feel drawn to both of us. That's part of the curse's design. Two flames, remember? Passion and pain. Light and dark. You can't have one without acknowledging the other. Jin-Ho stood, putting himself between them. That's enough. She's had a traumatic night. She needs rest, not you trying to manipulate her. I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm being honest. Something you might try. What's that supposed to mean? Jin-Woo's smile was cruel. Tell her about the others, brother. Tell her about Yuna, about Maylin, about Sarah and Catherine and all the rest. Tell her how you made them fall in love with you, promised them safety, and then watched them die anyway. Jin-Ho's face went pale. That's not fair, isn't it? You carry their guilt like a crown of thorns, but you never learn. You'll do the same thing with Amara. Make her believe in fairy tales and happy endings, right up until someone puts a bullet in her head. Stop it. Amara's shout cut through their argument. Both men turned to her. Just stop. I can't process this. Any of this. You're talking about other women you've loved, about people dying, about choosing between you like you're items on a menu. I'm a person. I'm not some prophecy or some solution to your curse. You're right, Ginho said quietly. I'm sorry. We're pushing too hard, too fast. Are we? Jin-Woo challenged. Or are we simply being realistic about the timeline? Our enemies already know we found her. Those men in the alley were a warning. The real attack will come soon, and she needs to understand what she's facing. What I'm facing? Amara's laugh was edged with hysteria. I didn't ask for any of this. I was just trying to survive, to take care of my mom, to make it through another day. And now you're telling me I'm caught in some ancient curse, that people will try to kill me, That I have to choose which of you gets to live and which one stays damned for eternity. Yes, Jin-Woo said bluntly. That's exactly what I'm telling you. Then I choose neither. I choose to walk away. You can't. Jin-Woo's voice was flat, final. You promised. My brother promised. I didn't. He moved to the window, looking out over the glittering city. The moment you became aware of the prophecy, the moment you accepted our kiss, our protection, our money, you bound yourself to this. The curse recognizes you now. There's no walking away. Jin-Ho shot his brother a murderous look. That's not how it works and you know it. Isn't it? Tell me, brother, in all our centuries, has any woman who learned the truth ever truly escaped? Even the ones who tried to run, they all ended up dead within weeks. The curse doesn't let go. Amara's legs felt weak. She sat back down on the bed, her mind racing. So I'm trapped. Either I play along with this insane prophecy, or I die. Or we protect you, Ginho said gently, kneeling before her again. We keep you safe while we find a way to break the curse that doesn't cost anyone their life. There is no other way, Jin-Woo said. Believe me, we've spent 1,200 years looking for one. Then we'll spend 1,200 more if we have to. Jin-Ho's eyes blazed with determination. I won't let her die like the others. I won't. The conviction in his voice made Amara's chest ache. She saw it then, the weight he carried. 47 women. 47 chances at freedom, at love, at breaking this curse. And 47 deaths that he blamed himself for. Jin-Woo was right about one thing. Jin-Ho was drowning in guilt. Tell me about them, Amara said quietly. The other women. I need to know what I'm up against. Jin-Ho and Jin-Woo exchanged a long look. Finally, Jin-Woo spoke. The first was Hannah. We found her in 1156, in a small village near what's now Seoul. She was a farmer's daughter, strong and brave. She survived 3 months before our enemies poisoned her well. The second was Yuki, in Japan, 1289. She was a warrior's widow. They burned her house down with her inside. Jin-Ho's voice was hollow, reciting facts he'd memorized through pain. Ming in China, 1445. Strangled. Elena in Russia, 1687. Throat slit. Catherine in London, 1823. Pushed from a bridge. Jin-Woo continued the litany, each name a punctuation mark in centuries of failure. Sarah was the most recent, Jin-Ho said, his voice cracking slightly. 3 months ago, here in Atlanta. She was a teacher, kind and funny. She made us believe. We thought this time would be different. We learned so much, become so much more powerful in this modern world. We had resources, technology, protection. They took her anyway, Jin-Woo finished. Grabbed her from a parking garage despite our security. We found her body 2 days later. His jaw clenched. They tortured her first, trying to get her to tell them which of us she would have chosen. She never told them, Jin-Ho whispered. She died protecting our secret. Silence fell over the room, heavy with the weight of centuries of death. Amara felt tears sliding down her cheeks. I'm so sorry. Don't be sorry, Jin-Woo said harshly. Be smart. Be careful. Be willing to do whatever it takes to survive. I don't even know who these enemies are. Why do they care so much about keeping you cursed? Because we're not just princes, Jin-Ho explained. In Goguryeo, our family controls the kingdom. Our younger sister rules in our absence, but she's aging. She won't live forever, even with the magic of our world sustaining her. When she dies, the throne passes to us. Whichever one of us breaks the curse and returns home. Our enemies are rival noble houses, Jin-Woo continued. Families who've spent 1,200 years consolidating power in our absence. If we return, we reclaim everything. They lose their influence, their wealth, their positions. They'll do anything to prevent that. They've infiltrated this world too, Jin-Ho added. They have agents here, businesses, connections. That's how they always find the women we choose. They have eyes everywhere. Amara's head spun with the implications. So even if I wanted to help you, even if I was willing to make this choice, there are literally centuries-old conspiracies working to kill me first. Yes, both brothers said simultaneously. This is insane, Amara repeated, but with less conviction than before. Because looking at Jin-Ho's earnest face, at Jin-Woo's cold determination, she understood something fundamental. They needed her. Not just as a solution to their curse, but as hope itself. 1,200 years of searching, of watching women die, of carrying that guilt and pain. They were drowning in it. and some foolish, reckless part of her wanted to save them. I need time, she said finally. Time to process this, to think, to figure out what I want. Real time, not one night. You'll stay here, Jin-Woo said. It wasn't a question. I have a job. I have responsibilities. We'll handle it, Ginho assured her. We'll tell your manager you had a family emergency. We'll make sure your bills are paid, your apartment is secure. Your mother's care will continue uninterrupted. You can even visit her under guard. Under guard, Amara repeated. Like a prisoner. Like someone precious, Ginho corrected gently. Jin-Woo moved from the window, approaching the bed with predatory grace. He stopped just inches from where she sat, close enough that she had to tilt her head back to meet his eyes. Make no mistake, Amara. You are precious. You're the first real hope we've had in 50 years. The first woman who's made me feel something other than rage and emptiness in longer than I can remember. So yes, we'll guard you. We'll protect you. We'll keep you safe even if you hate us for it. His hand came up, fingers trailing along her throat. And in time you'll understand. You'll feel what we feel. The bond between us is already forming. Even now, your body responds to our presence. Your heart races when we're near. Your skin flushes when we touch you. That's not fear, Amara. That's recognition. He was right, and she hated it. Every nerve in her body felt alive, hyper-aware of both men in the room. Jin-Ho's warmth at her side, Jin-Woo's intensity before her. It felt like standing between two magnets, both pulling at her with equal force. Get some sleep, Jin-Woo said, stepping back. Tomorrow we start your training. Training for what? Survival, he said simply, and left the room. Jin-Ho lingered, his expression apologetic. He's not wrong, you know. About the danger, about the bond. But you're not a prisoner here, Amara. You're a guest. An honored one. And if you truly want to leave after you've had time to process everything, I'll escort you myself. Even if it means I die. His smile was sad. I'd rather spend one day with you alive and free than a century knowing you were safe but miserable. That's the difference between my brother and me. He'd cage you to protect you. I'd set you free and pray you chose to stay. After he left, Amara sat in the silence of the luxurious room, trying to make sense of her new reality. She should be terrified. Should be planning her escape. But instead, she found herself replaying Jin-Ho's kiss, remembering the heat in Jin-Woo's eyes. Found herself wondering what it would feel like to be caught between them, to be the center of such intense focus and desire. The prophecy had marked her. The curse had claimed her. And somewhere deep inside, in a place she didn't want to examine too closely, she wondered if maybe she'd been waiting for this her whole life. Waiting to be chosen, to be wanted, to matter to someone beyond what she could give them. She fell asleep eventually, exhausted by emotion and fear and the strange magnetic pull of the two brothers who'd upended her entire world in a single night. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur. Jin-Woo trained her in self-defense every morning, his methods brutal and efficient. He didn't pull punches, didn't coddle her. When she failed to block his strikes, she wore the bruises as lessons. When she succeeded, his rare nods of approval felt like victories. Again, he'd command after throwing her to the mat for the 100th time. Your enemies won't give you breaks. Neither will I. Jin-Ho taught her about their world in the afternoons, showing her artifacts from Goguryeo, teaching her basic Korean phrases, explaining the politics and magic that govern the kingdom between worlds. His lessons were gentler, filled with stories and laughter. He'd bring her favorite foods, learn her preferences, make her feel cherished. At night, they took her to their club downtown, a place called Eclipse that catered to the city's elite. She watched them work, saw the empire they'd built. Jin-Woo negotiated deals with men who reeked of danger, his cold efficiency earning respect and fear in equal measure. Jin-Ho charmed investors and politicians, his warm smile hiding the predator beneath. And Amara found herself drawn deeper into their world, into the space between them. Jin-Ho would dance with her, his body pressed close, his hands respectful but possessive. Jin-Woo would watch from the VIP section, his eyes tracking her every movement with an hunger that made her burn. One night, she found herself alone with Jin-Ho on the club's roof garden. The city sprawled below them, a sea of lights and possibility. He poured her wine, his movements graceful. You're adapting well, he observed. Jin-Woo says your progress in training is remarkable. He has a funny way of showing approval. I'm covered in bruises. Jin-Ho's smile was warm. That's his love language. He's harder on the people he cares about. He set down his glass, turning to face her fully. Can I tell you something? Of course. I'm falling in love with you. The words were simple, honest. I know it's too soon. I know the circumstances are complicated, but I need you to know. When I look at you, I see a future I'd given up on. I see hope. Amara's breath caught. Jin-Ho, you don't have to say anything back. I just needed you to know. He cupped her face, his thumb stroking her cheek. Whatever you decide, whoever you choose, I'm grateful for these weeks. For your smile, your laughter, your fire. You've reminded me what it feels like to be alive. He kissed her then, deeper than before, with 1,200 years of longing poured into it. Amara melted into him, her hands fisting in his shirt. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, she saw Jin-Woo standing in the doorway. His expression was unreadable. We have a problem, Jin-Woo said flatly. Marcus Chen just arrived with 30 men. He's asking for a meeting. Jin-Ho tensed. Marcus? He hasn't surfaced in decades. Who's Marcus? Amara asked. Trouble, both brothers said simultaneously. They went downstairs to find the club had been cleared except for Marcus's men lining the walls. Marcus himself sat in their VIP booth, a man in his 40s with cold eyes and a calculating smile. He stood when they approached. Jin-Woo. Jin-Ho. It's been too long. His eyes slid to Amara. And you must be the latest candidate. She's lovely. I can see why you're so attached. What do you want, Marcus? Jin-Woo's voice was ice. Just to talk. To make an offer. Marcus gestured for them to sit. Jin-Woo positioned himself between Marcus and Amara, Jin-Ho on her other side. I represent certain interested parties from Goguryeo. Parties who believe this curse has gone on long enough. Your employers want us trapped forever, Jin-Ho said bitterly. Why would they suddenly change their minds? Because times change. Power shifts. And frankly, having you two running around in this world causing chaos is becoming problematic. Marcus leaned forward. So here's the offer. Let the girl go. Walk away from this prophecy, this one time. In exchange, we'll guarantee protection for her and her mother. They'll live long, safe lives. And we'll continue our current arrangement. You stay in this world, we stay in power back home. Everyone wins. Except we stay cursed, Jin-Woo said. Is that really so bad? Marcus spread his hands. You've built an empire here. You're rich, powerful, respected. Why risk it all for a chance at returning to a kingdom that's moved on without you? Because it's our home, Jin-Ho said quietly. Because our sister is dying. Because we're tired of watching centuries pass like days. Because we're tired of being trapped. Marcus's smile faded. Then you refuse? We refuse, Jin-Woo confirmed. Pity. Marcus stood. I really hoped we could resolve this peacefully. But my employers anticipated your stubbornness. He snapped his fingers. The club doors burst open. More men poured in, armed with weapons that gleamed with an unnatural light. Cursed weapons, Amara realized. Weapons that could actually hurt the brothers. Last chance, Marcus said. The girl or your empire. Choose. Jin-Woo moved with deadly speed, his ice powers manifesting in a wave of frost that sent Marcus's men stumbling back. Jin-Ho grabbed Amara, pulling her toward a back exit. But they were surrounded, outnumbered 3-1. The fight was brutal. The brothers moved in perfect synchronization, centuries of fighting side by side evident in every motion. But the cursed weapons found their marks. Jin-Ho took a blade across his ribs, blood blooming across his white shirt. Jin-Woo caught a bullet meant for Amara, the impact dropping him to one knee. Stop! Amara screamed. Just stop. I'll go with you. I'll do whatever you want. Just don't hurt them anymore. Marcus's laugh was cruel. Oh, sweet girl. Did you really think this was about taking you? We don't want you alive. Dead women can't make choices. Dead women mean the curse continues forever. He raised his gun, pointing it directly at Amara's head. Goodbye, candidate number 48. Time seemed to slow. Amara saw Jin-Ho lunge toward her, too far away to reach her in time. Saw Jin-Woo raise his hand, ice forming, but he was wounded, too slow. Saw the gun's barrel, dark and final. She thought about her mother, about the life she'd lived, about these 3 strange weeks caught between 2 impossible men who'd made her feel alive for the first time in forever. And she thought about the dagger hidden in her jacket pocket, the one Jin-Woo had given her during training. Just in case, he'd said. The prophecy said she had to choose one brother. But what if there was another choice? Amara pulled the dagger and, in one smooth motion, drove it into her own chest. The world exploded into light. She heard both brothers screaming her name, felt their hands reaching for her as she fell. But the light was too bright, too all-consuming. It swallowed everything. The club, Marcus and his men, the pain, the fear, all of it dissolved into pure white radiance. She heard a woman's voice, ancient and amused. Clever girl. No one has ever chosen themselves before. The light began to fade, shapes forming from the brightness. Stone walls. Golden tapestries. A purple sky visible through arched windows. 2 moons hanging in that alien sky like watchful eyes. Amara sat up gasping. Her chest bore no wound. She wore robes of silk and gold, intricate patterns embroidered along the edges. A crown sat on a table beside her, delicate and beautiful and terrifying in its implications. The door opened. Jin-Ho and Jin-Woo entered, and they were different. Younger somehow, the weight of centuries lifted from their shoulders. They wore armor, carried themselves like the princes they'd once been. Both stared at her with wonder. You did it, Jin-Ho breathed. You actually broke the curse. How? Amara looked at her hands, at the unfamiliar room. Where are we? Goguryeo, Jin-Woo said, kneeling beside the bed. You brought us home. By choosing to sacrifice yourself rather than choose between us, you rewrote the prophecy. You broke the curse for both of us. But I'm alive. I'm here. The curse couldn't let you die, Jin-Ho explained, kneeling on her other side. Not after you made that choice. So it brought you with us. Bound you to us. According to ancient law, the one who breaks a royal curse becomes part of the royal line. Both brothers took her hands. You're our queen now, Jin-Woo said. If you'll have us. Amara's mind reeled. Queen? I don't understand. I don't know anything about ruling a kingdom or... Heavy footsteps echoed in the hallway outside. The brothers tensed. The door swung open to reveal a woman who looked to be in her 30s, impossibly beautiful, with eyes that held centuries of knowledge and pain. She wore robes of deepest purple, a crown that matched the one on Amara's bedside table. Hello, granddaughter, the woman said, her smile cold and knowing. Welcome home. Amara's blood turned to ice. Granddaughter? The woman circled the bed like a predator. I am Seo-Yun, the sorceress who cursed these 2 fools 1,200 years ago. And you, my dear child, are my descendant. My blood runs through your veins. That's impossible, Jin-Ho said. The curse specifically prevents. The curse prevents the cursed from finding me, Seo-Yun interrupted. But it doesn't prevent me from finding you. From tracking my own bloodline. From ensuring that every woman who fit the prophecy carried my essence. She reached out, touching Amara's face. Do you think it was coincidence? 47 women across 12 centuries, all marked by the prophecy? They were all my descendants. All pieces of me sent to torment you. Jin-Woo's voice was deadly quiet. Why? Because I loved you. The words tore from Seo-Yun with centuries of rage. I loved you, Jin-Woo. I would have given you everything. But you rejected me. Cast me aside like I was nothing. So I made sure you'd spend eternity loving women who carried my blood, my curse. Made sure every time you found hope, you'd be loving a part of me. She turned back to Amara. And now the final piece falls into place. The curse is broken, yes. But its true purpose is revealed. You're bound to them now, bound to this kingdom, bound to me. The real punishment was never for them, granddaughter. It was for us. For the women of our line, cursed to love what we cannot fully have, to be torn between passion and duty, to sacrifice ourselves for men who can never truly choose just one. Amara felt tears streaming down her face. No, that's not. I chose myself. I rewrote the ending. Did you? Seo-Yun's smile was tragic. Or did you simply fulfill the curse's true design? You're here now, trapped in this world, bound to 2 men who'll war over you until the end of days. And when you die, another of my descendants will rise to take your place. The cycle continues. Forever. Jin-Ho stood, fury radiating from him. We won't let you win. We'll find a way to break this, to free Amara from me? From my blood? You can't separate her from her own heritage any more than you can separate water from wine once they're mixed. Seo-Yun moved toward the door. Welcome to your throne, granddaughter. Welcome to your cage. I'll see you at the coronation. She left, her laughter echoing in the hallway. Silence fell over the room. Amara looked between Jin-Ho and Jin-Woo, seeing her own horror reflected in their faces. We'll fix this, Jin-Ho said desperately. We'll find a way. But Jin-Woo's expression was grim. She's right. The curse was never about us. It was about creating an eternal cycle. We're all trapped now. Amara stood on shaking legs, walking to the window. The purple sky, the twin moons, the alien kingdom spread below. It was beautiful and terrible all at once. She'd saved the brothers. She'd broken their curse. But in doing so, she'd trapped herself in something far worse. She thought about her mother back in Atlanta, about the life she'd left behind. Wondered if she'd even remember any of it or if the curse had rewritten reality itself. Felt the weight of the crown waiting for her, the burden of a prophecy she'd thought she'd defeated. Behind her, she heard Jin-Ho and Jin-Woo arguing in quiet, desperate tones. Heard their plans, their hopes, their determination to somehow undo what Seo-yeon had done. And beneath it all, she felt the pull. The bond that now tied her to them, stronger than ever. Two flames burning in her heart, passion and pain, light and darkness, love and duty. She was their queen now, their salvation and their curse. And somewhere in the depths of this alien palace, Seo-yeon was laughing. Amara pressed her hand against the window, feeling the cool glass beneath her palm. She'd spent her whole life fighting to survive, to matter, to be more than just another struggling waitress drowning in debt and desperation. And now she was a queen in a cursed kingdom, bound to two immortal princes, carrying the blood of the woman who damned them all. The irony wasn't lost on her. Amara. Jin-Woo's voice was soft behind her. Whatever comes next, we face it together. Jin-Ho joined them at the window, taking her other hand. We'll find a way to break Seo-yeon's hold, to give you the choice you deserve. Amara looked at their reflections in the glass. Three figures silhouetted against an alien sky, bound by prophecy and blood and something that might have been love if it hadn't been written in the stars 1,200 years before she was born. What if there is no breaking it? She whispered. What if this is just who we are now? Neither brother had an answer. Below them, the kingdom stirred. Bells began to ring, announcing the return of their princess, announcing the arrival of their new queen. The coronation would come soon, Seo-yeon had promised. And with it, the true beginning of Amara's new life, or her new prison. She closed her eyes and made a silent promise to herself. She'd survived poverty, loss, and loneliness. She'd survived finding out about curses and prophecies and ancient blood feuds. She'd even survived stabbing herself in the heart to rewrite fate itself. She'd survived this too. And maybe, just maybe, she'd find a way to turn this curse into something else entirely. Something that was hers. Something that was real. The twin moons watched from above, silent witnesses to the newest chapter in an ancient story. And in the shadows of the palace, Seo-yeon smiled, confident in her victory. But she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated the woman who'd chosen herself over destiny. And that, Amara thought with a surge of fierce determination, would be her undoing. If you've made it this far, you're part of something special. Hit that subscribe button because part 2 is coming, and trust me, you don't want to miss what happens when Amara discovers the truth about her own power. Drop a comment and tell me, Team Jin-Ho or Team Jin-Woo? Or is Amara better off claiming her throne alone? And smash that like button if you want to see this queen break every curse that dares to bind her. The real story is just beginning.